oftentimes I hear people saying, well, he did this or she did that, or he did that and she did this. Something that I'm doing is like, what did I do?
Mm-hmm.
And how can I learn from it? Do you think that's a good practice, or should we identify what they did and put the blame on them?
No, it is a best practice to evaluate our own behavior.
Okay.
Because what the hell do you learn if you just make it about them? and all you're going to do is take their shortcomings and project it onto the next person.
Yeah.
Because now you're looking at it as this is what people do, this is what men do, this is what women do. Nah, what could you have done better? And the reality is that there's always something that we can do better.
Yeah.
And understand that doing that evaluation does not say what they did is okay. It's not letting them off the hook. It's just empowering yourself to know how to better navigate situations. Maybe you didn't properly communicate things the way that you should have. Maybe you reacted poorly to some of the things. You know, there are various things you could have done better. And too many people just leave a relationship only blaming the other person. And that's why they stay in a cycle of failed relationships.
Bro, you got me thinking about me. The last relationship I was in, I was selfish. I was selfish. Stuck in my ways. I'm not old, man. In the world, I'm older. I'm 36, turning 37 in July. And I'm like, I walked away. When I hear her complaints, I was selfish. I would hear her say, this is what I had a problem with. And you know, as a communicator, another problem that I learned is, as a communicator, we tend to exaggerate things. You know, we tend to like tell these little small white lies. If it was 10 people, we'll say it was 10,000 people in the room. Or if it was this, it was that. And at the end of the day, it was a white lie. And it's like, now hearing you say that, it's like, okay, cool. Anthony, if you know you can tell white lies, if you know you're kind of selfish, you don't really do much, I don't even have time to focus on what she did. I'm so focused on making sure that I heal and that I fix these things. So when God blesses me with another opportunity, with another woman, that I'm not carrying that into the future.
Exactly.
And it's like, I can't even think about what she did, because I'm like, yo, what she made me realize about myself is true and it's real. And it hurts, man. I'm telling you, Stephan, it hurts. How do you deal with the pain when you identify, okay, this is what I did in a relationship? Like, that doesn't feel good, man.
Well, two things. One thing I feel the need to mention real quick.
Yeah.
This is especially for the men.
Okay.
So what I have realized in all my years of doing this is that men tend to forget that women typically are emotionally wired or more emotionally wired.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, when she comes to you and expresses a concern, if that concern does not line up in your head logically, men tend to dismiss it. Okay.
Facts.
And they don't consider how she's feeling. And I want men to understand, you have to learn that we have to accept men and women are different. We are just built differently. And in understanding our differences, we can create more harmony with each other. When that woman says to you, this is how I feel, it's not about your logic at that point, bro. It's about how she feels. All right? And you got to tap into that in that moment. And if you say, well, how do I know she's not lying? Listen, if she's a good woman otherwise, then there's no reason to assume it's a lie right now. All right? If you know she has not been a problem for you, then don't project that negativity on her. Just take her as her expression at that moment and understand her emotions. So it's almost like if a woman says to you, I don't feel safe, but to you, I see no danger around. It's like, nah, you okay? Just keep going. And it's like, nah, but she's telling you she does not feel safe. As a man, you have to tap into that. Okay, baby, what can I do to help you feel safer? Or maybe, you know what? Since you don't feel safe, we're going to remove from this environment. And I think what happens is so many women feel dismissed and devalued because as men, again, we keep focusing on logic, but they're talking about their emotion, what they're feeling.
Yeah.
And that's real.
Right.
It may not be real to you in that moment, but that danger or her uncomfortableness in that moment is real to her. So you have to meet her there. All right? Now, going back to...
Bro, you just said a mouthful that I think... Man, I hope brothers just heard that, because you just broke that thing down. And personally, I'm sitting there like, God, how you just said that, that is really how men process it. She says, I don't feel safe. So the protector in me looks at her environment Like, you're crazy. You are perfectly 100% safe. But I'm looking at the logic, the practical on the outside, but I'm not looking at her heart.
Exactly.
I'm not looking at her mind. I'm not looking at her spirit. Before we go into the next thing, bro, how can men get better at looking at that? Like, how do we really, how can we step back as men and be like, yo, okay, she's not safe. There's clearly nothing wrong. But how do I better understand her internally so that way I can make her feel safe? Or in any other situation that I just can't process?
I think, one, just being aware of the issue, being aware of the fact that if she expresses a feeling of concern, listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all. Just listen and try to understand what is feeding that concern, all right? And even if in some cases she can't fully explain it, just honor it. Just honor it. Again, if anyone says, well, she might just be tripping. Listen, if you have a good woman, why assume she's tripping?
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying? Just trust it. And I'm a firm believer that, listen, I am a proponent of women's intuition. I believe in the power of it. And I believe we all have it, but women have it at a higher level. Exactly. And I do believe, because I'm all about balance. And I believe that God created us to balance each other out, not equal each other out.
Okay.
And so if my strength is logic, her strength is intuition. And so if we're walking together, yes, I'm looking for what I see, but she's going to pick up on what she feels. And I'm going to respect that just as much as what I see. You see what I'm saying? Because again, if I know that we are supposed to be together, which goes back to, are you even consulting with God if you should be with this person? But that's a whole nother discussion, all right? But if I know this is the woman God said this is for me, and she's telling me she feels a certain kind of way, I'm going to listen to that. And so as men, it's just practice. It's getting comfortable with that. I think, again, we are not taught this. We're not comfortable with this. We don't even understand the concept for a lot of guys.
Right.
But if now you're hearing this message, practice it. Also, talk to your woman and say, okay, listen, you know what? This is hard for me to understand. If you catch me dismissing you, remind me.
So good.
You know what I'm saying? Just build in little safety measures that bring us back to where we're trying to be in that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's how you get the ball rolling. And then at some point, you'll get so used to it that now you're in tune with your woman and it flows seamlessly.
So on the flip side of the men's side, are we wrong for being logical?
No, we're not wrong for being logical.
Okay.
We just have to not be, and again, it may not be that our logic may, in some situations, may be more accurate than how she's feeling.
Right.
But we should never dismiss how she's feeling because it doesn't line up with our logic. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so in having simply a discussion, and that's the thing, it's all about communication. If you simply don't dismiss her in that moment and you talk to her, you guys may be able to talk through the situation, and now we go with the man's logic and, okay, listen, we can move forward. Trust me, I got you. You see what I'm saying? But the minute you dismiss her, you created a whole different issue. So now it's not just about how she felt in that moment, it's he don't care about how I feel. You see what I'm saying? And that will linger on into the relationship and now start to show its ugly face in a lot of various ways.
So what I hear you saying is, hear her, show her that you're trying to understand her. And then once you do those two things, y'all can move forward.
Yes.
And then you both can decide, okay, is it best to go the logic way or is it best to go this way?
Exactly.
But you can't go nowhere if she doesn't feel heard and if she doesn't feel understood.
Exactly.
I got to work on that, y'all. I'm going to be 100. That's something I have to work on. I'm a logic guy. If it doesn't make sense to me, then I can, thanks, bro.
No problem, man.
I mean, that's real. But I think it's real that a man can acknowledge, like, yo, and my logic, bro, is not to dismiss because I am trying to protect her. But you just really said a mouthful right there, man. And I appreciate you for saying that. That's why you on the show. Real talk. That's why you on the show.